Well, that went probably as bad as it could have gone for the Philadelphia 76ers. Game one goes to the Knicks. This is Colby Marshall, host of the Cheesesteaks and Takes podcast. It's currently 1 minute, 56 seconds left in game one. Knicks up 135 to 98. Up by as many as, I don't know, 40 points almost in this game. Largest lead was 40. Yep. For the Knicks in this one. First quarter was kind of tit for tat. Embiid and Maxey start slow, really making their living at the line. And honestly felt pretty good when it was in the mid-teens, 16-16. We weren't playing our best basketball, but we were still in it. And the Knicks ended up pulling away, going up double digits in the first, and then by the end of the second, up by as many as 24 points. Sixers obviously still on a hangover from Saturday. Just looked like the team that was more tired, lower. Knicks played with more energy, and honestly, give a lot of credit to the Knicks. They came out and treated this game like an NBA championship contender team should treat game one of an Eastern Conference semifinals against a team that just went 7 games against an opponent they haven't beaten 44 years. So you know the Sixers were obviously emotionally spent, fatigued after that game 7 on Saturday, and it showed here on Monday. They just did not show up ready to play. A Knicks team that is clearly hungry and seeing a clear path at this point to the NBA finals in their minds. And, Sixers did not come ready to play. It didn't seem like they really had a game plan. The first few possessions, they did not target Jalen Brunson at all. They did not try to take Kelly Oubre to set a screen for the guy on ball that was Maxey or VJ and try to get that switch. Really didn't target Brunson until what my dad said the third quarter was when they actually started to try to go at him on defense. And Karl Anthony Towns went right at Joel Embiid. Any chance he got, was taking advantage of the drop coverage that Embiid was giving him, knocking down threes. Brunson getting anywhere that he really wanted to on the court. I thought that VJ Edgecombe, he did a really good job on Jalen during the regular season. Jalen cooked him. He cooked whoever was on him tonight. And VJ, he really didn't do anything to take Jalen out of his game. I think something that the Sixers obviously need to do if they want to win this series is they have to try to make Jalen Brunson uncomfortable as much as possible, whether that's pressing full court, getting into his jersey. They didn't do any of that. He really got wherever he wanted, and he made tough shots, but that's what Jalen Brunson does in the playoffs. If you've watched him over the last 3 or 4 seasons with the Knicks, he makes tough shots in the playoffs, and you got to make him uncomfortable, and the Sixers didn't do that. Nick Nurse, you kind of wanted to see him expand the bench a little bit more in this series, knowing how many minutes your guys played against Boston, especially in that game 7, but he still stuck with those same 6. The starting 5 and Quentin Grimes were really the only guys that played big minutes off the bench that seems like are going to play big minutes off the bench if Nick Nurse continues to use his lineup this way. And, it's not just an indictment on him. It's an indictment on the front office for building the roster that they have, not getting anything back for Jared McCain. Like, they were not in the business of trading players this season and getting nothing in return. And that's essentially what they did when they traded Jared McCain, and they're paying the price for it. Trying to make a deep postseason run at this point with this team that just looks like they're running on fumes. At least in game 1, looked like they were just running on fumes. Nothing like the energy they brought to Boston in game 7 on Saturday. Is the series over? No. I think that a lot of people obviously have picked the Knicks to win this series, and if the Knicks are the championship team that they seem to be, that they believe they are, they're going to go ahead and win game 2 as well. Because the Sixers at the end of the day, resting tomorrow, but have to come out here and play another game at MSG. They should win game 2. I think Boston showed they weren't really a championship contender team when they let us win, and give credit to us. We played well in that game 2 in Boston, but championship contender teams, they close a team like the Sixers out in a game 2 like that, or take advantage of going up 2-0, not closing us out, but take advantage of going up big 2-0 in the series. When you have us against the ropes like this, and that's where the Knicks have us. Josh Hart was huge for them all over the place. You kind of expected that. We really don't have anybody to match the energy that Josh Hart brings, and I think he knows that. I think the Knicks know that, and he seems to bring he seems to play against the Sixers. A lot of Knicks seem to play against the Sixers with another gear. Miles McBride doesn't miss against us. Josh Hart, I think he had 6 rebounds in that first half, 5 assists. He was flirting with a triple double in the first 2 quarters. OG Anunoby, I don't think we have an answer for him across the board with, across our wings, across our guards. He can pretty much get whatever he wants, I think, offensively. He's just bigger and stronger than everybody that we have. And then on defense, he gives Paul George, who shot really well in this game, 4 or 5 from three, I think he was. He gives Paul George a lot of issues. You saw it during the regular season, and you saw it on that opening. I think within the first 2 possessions, OG was matched up on Paul George, and he forced him into this tough fadeaway that just clanked off the glass. And, like I said, Paul George did shoot pretty well, went 4 or 5, but OG's going to make it tough. He's going to make it tough. And, man, the Knicks they were the better team. They looked like the better team. They looked like the deeper team like we expected them to look. Jalen Brunson was the best player on the court. And he's, I think he kind of has heard the echoes of Tyrese Maxey being his equal and maybe took that a little personal tonight. Came out 14 points in that first. I think he got it to 19 points in the first quarter. Maxey had 4 points all from the free throw line. I thought this was a game where we were going to see Maxey kind of feel it out and turn on the Jets in the third quarter, but really didn't even have that opportunity because the game was out of hand by the third quarter. His shot just wasn't on. He had 2 pull-up threes in the first half and just didn't look right. It just didn't look like he was shooting with that utmost confidence and that assuredness that he usually does. Call it tired legs, call it whatever you want. They just did not have it tonight. And the Knicks sniffed that out early and they took advantage. I don't even think the Knicks played their best game in that first half. I really don't. I mean, they shot the lights out. I don't think they're going to shoot much better than that, but I think they were a little sloppy. They were giving us opportunities to really get into their jerseys. They weren't great on the glass. They had a few offensive rebounds. Wasn't absolutely dominating. Mitchell Robinson picked up those early fouls. Karl Anthony Towns picked up those early fouls on Embiid. Just playing a little ill-discipline, kind of what you expected out of Karl at times, and Mitch too, going up against Embiid particularly. But they shot the lights out. They couldn't miss. What was it? They shot 70% in that first half. Could not miss. And you're not going to beat a team as talented as the Knicks when you allow them to shoot like that from the field. Man, yeah, you got to flush this one, I think, if you're the Sixers. Odds of you winning this game, this is probably the one game that you were just not, you had the worst chance of winning in this series. Coming off of the series you just played, I had a feeling that we weren't going to see the starters in the fourth quarter. If the game got out of hand, kind of want to save your guys, hoping you get back in the series, allow them not to burn out in game one. So, I guess that's a plus. That's a silver lining. The BJ, NBA, I think they all played around 25 minutes. I think they all played around 25 in this game. Maybe they'll come out with more energy in game two. Listen, the Knicks just look like overall the better team. They just look like they're better coached. They have better players who understand their roles. They have more of an identity, than the Sixers. They know they're gonna, work hard on the offensive glass. They know they're gonna play through Karl and Brunson, and they're gonna look for the mismatches with Maxey, and they just seem like they are the better team. And they looked it in game one. I really have nothing else much to say. It was as simple as that. They came out with, like I said, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but more energy, they look more prepared. They looked just like the better team. And I don't know if the Sixers, Nick Nurse, I don't know if he's going to open up his bench. He's going to play more guys, but I think he has to. I think that you got to junk up this series, and I don't see how a 6-man rotation is going to beat the Knicks this year. I just don't see that happening. But definitely didn't like seeing Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George laughing on the bench in the fourth quarter. I don't know what they were laughing at, but that's not something I want to see, getting absolutely whopped by the Knicks, down by 30, 40 points, and you're joking about something, trying not to show your laugh on the camera. Come on, guys. That's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. I don't want them to get into the habit of thinking they can just lay eggs in the playoff games like this and come back in series, because what you did against Boston, I'm sorry, it was historic, and it was like there's not a good chance of that happening, and it probably won't happen again. Like, you can't just lay eggs in playoff games, and that's what the Sixers did. That's what the Sixers did. They didn't look prepared. They didn't play with energy. They didn't, they were really, I think, overly reliant on Joel Embiid, feeding him in the post early on in that game. And he just wasn't good. He missed a lot of shots he usually makes and just wasn't good. Didn't have it tonight. Didn't have it tonight. But yeah, I got not much to say about this one. You got to flush it. It's a long series. This is game one. You don't win series in game one. But I mean, if there is literally not a better way for the Knicks to start this series than, with a 40-point win. And just looking just better team, more dominant. I think a lot of people thought the Sixers are going to, still think the Sixers are going to make this series, and they 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 played like they're getting ready to sweep us in 4 games. And if I were them, that would be my goal. That would be my mindset. Get these guys out of here in 4. They don't have the legs to hang with us. They're not as good as us. They don't have the pedigree that we do. Get these guys out of here. We'll see how they respond in game 2. I do think they'll come with more energy, being a little bit more rested. I think that the first few games of a series is more of a feeling out process. First 2, at least, more of a feeling out process for both teams. And the Sixers have to respond. I think they have to make more adjustments than the Knicks will have to make going into game 2. And I do expect to see a different Sixers team with a different energy, especially on the defensive end. I don't know if it'll be enough to beat this Knicks team. We'll see. This is the Cheesesteaks Intakes podcast. First attempt at a game recap after a loss. Doesn't feel good at all. Feels like crap. Want to go to bed, but got through it, and Sixers will hopefully get through this one and forget about it, flush it, on to the next one. Still can get a split in New York and take it back to Philly, where you can hopefully get one and make this a series. I get 1 or 2 and make this a series. So, but we'll see. This is the Cheesesteaks and Takes podcast. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on social media. Stay tuned for more content, and we will be back for a game 2 preview and recap. Well, that does it for this episode. Hope you guys have a good night, and talk to you later.